Hi everyone, my name is piterpakulski. Today we will continue creating financial model. This model will help you to see the clear picture of your revenues, of your expenses, of your existing business. And today it's time for us to put all our transactions inside the timeline. We've already created the transaction list where we set up where we describe all our transactions. So here we just type the name of transaction, the amount of this transaction, whether it is a revenue or expense. Then we type select the month when this transaction occurs, the year. If it is the revenue, then we choose the company that gives us this revenue. If it is an expense, we have another story. We just put the company, what is the vendor's name. And now it's time for us to put all these 10,000 transactions inside this timeline that we already created. And the name of this table will be transactions by revenue. Transactions by revenue. We will take the year, month, so this is the timeline. This is our text of transaction. Here we will put all our 10,000 transactions, and now we will just write the formula for that. We will use if and formula. So if this year is equal to this year, this month is equal to this month, and this status is a revenue. Then we put here this value. Otherwise we put 0, because we're talking only about revenues in this block. Then we extrapolate this formula to the right, and then we extrapolate this formula to the bottom to all of our 10,000 transactions. So we've created revenues by transactions by revenue inside timeline. For example, if we change this month to, for example, December, we will see how this figure moves. So now it's time for us to create the same table for transactions by expenses. We can just copy this table. So we can just take this data from here We take transactions by expenses. We can copy partly the formula from here, but we need to adjust it a little bit. We will go up and move the cell from revenues to expense. Then we extrapolate this formula to the right and down to the bottom to all of our 10,000 transactions of expenses. So if we, for example, enter transactions that concerns expenses, we will get this value here. And now we can see how all transactions can easily move from revenues to expenses. For example, this value moves from this directory to this directory, so it's very easy to type different transactions. Let's put it back to expenses. Then now we will extrapolate this formula to the right and to the bottom of this block. And then so now it's time for us to consolidate all our revenues inside the timeline by different companies that we work with. So how we can do that? We will copy timeline, so here we won't place transactions anymore. We will place here the list of companies that form our revenue. We will go here and place here on the left all 100 companies that we work with. We will do now. We will use some if formula. Some if we will take the range, and we are talking about the revenues, so we will take this range because here we place all the names of the companies that form our revenue. Then we choose criteria. Criteria will be this cell. And summing range will be this table. We will use dollar signs here. Now we'll extrapolate this formula to the right, then to the bottom. So here we can see this revenue that comes from the company number 86. So for example, if we go up and change the company, for example, this will be the company number 3, this value goes here, then if we want to add some transactions that concerns revenue, for example, let's add one more transaction in November 2021. The revenue that goes from company number 3, we will see this transaction here, we will see this transaction added here, and if we, for example, change to company number 5, we'll see how this value goes from this line to this line. So here we worked with the revenues by companies, and now it's time for us to create the similar table for expenses by companies. So we can copy this table, we will name this table expenses. Then we move here, then we place expenses, companies that form our expenses, our vendors. Now we can take the formula from here, we can copy it, and then we will adjust it. So we will go up. We will use the summing range that goes for expenses. Then we will use this area, not this area because we're talking about expenses. and the value, the searching criteria will be this. We don't touch it, but it moved automatically from that formula. Then we extrapolate this formula to the right and to the bottom. And now we see expenses which we pay to the company number 7. And for example, we add some transactions. So here it is, expenses that come to the company number 7. And for example, we would like to add another expense. In November 2021, this goes to the company number 2, expenses company number 2. So we can see these transactions here inside transactions list that deals with expenses. The expenses by companies, and see this expense in front of the company, expense company number 2. So if this video was valuable for you, you may give us a like, subscribe our channel, share this video with your friends. Also, you may order a financial model from scratch. For your unique business idea, we can create the model like this for your existing business or your business idea. Thank you, see you next videos, and bye.